Thought it was about time for a quick update on the knife progress. So, you might have noticed, I'll drill a little hole, we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, because it's a hidden tang knife, what I've had to do is hollow out a section of handle that, in theory, fits this part of the tang perfectly. In practice, it's a bit sloppy, but that's alright, I've got a plan for that. So, what we did was hollow out this bit. I made myself this little tool out of a jigsaw blade. I just filed off those teeth there and used that to get inside and sort of shape the inside, I suppose. That worked remarkably well, actually. Quite a quick little fix. I think you can buy them. I think they probably cost you about 30 quid of those. That took me an hour and, I don't know, pennies for the blade. So, I've got a bit ambitious. I've spent most of the afternoon shaping this, which is a little bolster, buffalo horn, red liner, black liner. I've even been inspired by some of the fancy sort of knives I've seen some of the American makers make online, so I've added these little locator pins, hopefully to just stiffen it up a little bit. I'm going to epoxy these in and hopefully allow a little bit of strength. So the plan is, the blade is going to go through here, fits nice and snug, into the wooden section of the handle, and let's just see, can we line this up so you can see through? There we go. Check that out. I'm quite happy with that. That hole I've drilled in the tang and through the handle as well is going to take a pin, so I'm going to fill the handle up with epoxy as well, so there's going to be a chemical and a mechanical bond. And my good mate Will has been kind enough to lend me his forge, so I was going to do this as a kind of a basics hand tool project, but the offer of the forge was just too good to pass up, and I've got a few other projects I'm going to use it for. So I'm going to whip outside in a minute. We're going to get this blade heat treated, and then the job of hand sanding is going to be in. So let's get to it. Well, just in case it's of interest or might be useful information to some people, thought I'd do a quick cover of the tools I'm using. So most of this stuff on the desk is, well, it's just mess, but the key bits we're going to use for this next step for hardening is, most importantly, this thing here. This is kind of a, I don't know, it looks like something out of Mad Max. It's essentially a set of mole grips, and because you've got to get your hand a little bit too close to the flame for comfort, even with these mole grips, just added this contraption on there so you can keep your hands nice and far away, so you don't have to stick them in the fire along with the knife blade. So that's going to be holding on to the blade. We've got this little firelight to light it with, and this is a bit of information I find quite helpful, particularly when I made my first knife. So I've rigged up another little system here. So what we've got is a magnet in a mole grip, so we're going to use that for testing when the knife is ready to be quenched. So essentially, I think from memory, when you're heat treating steel for knife making, you need to heat it up to about 800 or 900 degrees before it's ready to quench. And if you heat it less than that, you'll end up with a soft blade. And if you heat it any more than that, you can end up burning the steel and wrecking all your hard work, so you don't want to do that. If you haven't got a thermometer that goes up to 800 degrees, and not many people outside of professional knife makers do, I guess, what you can use is a magnet, and 800 degrees is about the same temperature that steel will become non-magnetic. So I'm going to have that on hand. When I think the knife's hot enough, I'm going to test it. If it's non-magnetic, brilliant, it's ready to quench. If it still is magnetic, it needs a little bit more time in the forge. And then, here's one I drank earlier. We've got this can full of, we've got a bit of a mixture in here now. This has done a few knives. Mostly olive oil, topped up with a bit of vegetable oil. I don't think it matters too much. If you read the forums, they say olive oil, but we'll see. I'm sure it'll work. Right, let's get to it. Right, that seemed to go pretty well. Let's just do a quick test. So here we've got a little bit of the same type of steel we used to make the knife blade with. This hasn't been heat treated in any way. If I take my little file and run it across the edge, and then we hold it up to the camera, you should be able to see, focus, just about along the edge there. You can see that the file's coming to that. It's fairly soft. Right, let's do the same experiment with the knife. So this has been hardened, and if the hardening process had worked, this file shouldn't be able to touch the steel. It should just glide across. There we go, nice and hard, brilliant. So this knife is now nice and hard, but it's also brittle, so we're going to have to pop it in the oven, leave it in there for a couple of hours on max heat, and then it should be nicely annealed, and then it'll be ready for popping together with the handle, and then it's going to be handle shaping. So here we go. Final step. I've set the old oven to max, which in this case is a little over 240 degrees Celsius. Pop the knife on the tray. I'm going to stick it in there for 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on when I remember to take it out. When I do, it should have just the right mix of hardness and flexibility, so it doesn't snap the first time we use it. I'm really excited about this one. It's looking good. So after that, we're going to move on to assembling the handle, and maybe we'll even do a sheath for it. So, pop her in, and we will see you on the next one.